Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Um, so what's there to say? And I'm pretty much here to kind of give my point of view on the World Cup in Qatar so far. Um, it's had its moments, certainly in regards to political conversation. On lots of teams or trying to kind of were campaigning for wearing the one love armband on their team shirts. But obviously, that didn't happen due to the strict regulations of Qatar. And this is obviously in regards to its laws forbidding making homosexuality illegal. So that was bound to happen. There was going to be a lot of political unrest over that during this tournament. Um, but putting that aside, oh yeah, and in response, a lot of teams, they made their stance clear on the way they felt that they would be made silent from protesting for LGBT rights. So yeah, that's the issue over there that I don't really want to get into. But right now we're at the stage of the quarterfinals, and you know, certain countries who have been knocked out, I've expected them to get. I've expected them to get to the stage where they were before they got beaten by the remaining teams in the quarterfinals, which are Holland, Argentina, France, Portugal, Brazil, and Croatia. Yeah, Croatia, and England, of course. England. Forget about England. Um, yeah. So yeah, yeah. Argentina as well. I think I mentioned them. Yeah. So the point is, yeah, these teams that are in the quarterfinals, I think as fans we all kind of expected them to get to this stage. So yeah, and there were some teams who there were some countries that have been knocked out, some national teams that have been knocked out. Germany, for instance, you know, Morocco. Sorry, Morocco. That's the other team that I was forgetting. Morocco. Yeah, they're the dark horses in this tournament, by the way. But yeah, yeah, Morocco, dark horses. I think they're facing who they're facing, either Brazil or Portugal. I'm not sure, but yeah, so dark horses, dark horses in this World Cup, guaranteed. So yeah, the point I'm making is yeah, some teams that have underperformed and done poorly. They've either been knocked out of the group stages or in the knockouts. So Spain was one. Spain lost to Morocco on penalties. Um, a lot of people are saying they weren't too impressed with them in the group stages when they in the group stage matches. Yes, there was the 7-1 victory over Costa Rica, but it's Costa Rica. There's hardly any expectations for them. So, and then against Germany they drew 1-1, and they could have easily lost that game. And then Japan, yeah, Japan. I think they drew. They might have won. I'm not too sure. Um, yeah. So yeah, disappointing. And recently it was announced that Luis Enrique, the Spanish manager, that he's going to step down. Unsurprisingly, I think he's a good elite manager, but it just hasn't worked out. And Germany, poor as well. Expect a lot more from them. A lot of people are trolling them, saying they were more focused on making political statements rather than actually winning the match. And unfortunately for Germany, that statement could be seen as valid because you're at the tournament. So yeah, and who else? Oh, yeah. This is the main point of my video. Now, often in football, you hear, the golden generation, and that was applied to England with Beckham, Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard, Rio Ferdinand, Ashley Cole, and obviously that era of the England team under Sven-Goran Eriksson didn't win anything. They disappointed. They were disappointing, quite frankly. They underachieved, and the same applies to Belgium. Belgium. They are this current disappointment of golden generation of players who should have won a trophy together, whether it was the Euros or the World Cup. 2018, they got to the semi-finals, and in that semi-final, they could. I felt, personally speaking, that they just didn't turn up against France, and then France, you could say that at that time they had a better team, but once they scored that goal, it felt like the Belgian players didn't really put enough effort in it. Effort to kind of equalise in the semi-final, and obviously France went on to be able to win the World Cup. So, but with that being said, this Belgian team is the current golden generation failure, in my opinion, because you've got the players that they have, the calibre of players. Kevin De Bruyne, KDB, who says that he really did not help himself at all by saying that his team was too old to win the World Cup. That's something that you don't say publicly. Something that you don't say as a captain as well. Disappointing. Very disappointing. So, KDB, who was Witsel, Vertonghen was elite, but you could say he was old now. Who else? I remember Vertonghen, Mertens, Tillemans. He's still. He's not old, but he should be. He is quality. Tillemans. Just Lukaku. I felt was always overrated. Like, all he was is tapping merchant. Really, he doesn't really do it for me personally as a striker. And right now, has shown how much of a flop he is, quite frankly. And so, missing those chances against Croatia, you felt a bit sorry for him, but at the same time you don't, because he always kind of puts himself in that pedestal, there's nothing wrong in self-belief, but there comes a time and point where you need to go on that pitch and prove it, walk the walk rather than talking the talk. And so, yeah, Lukaku, he hasn't really been elite for the last 2 years, really. Since he left Inter Milan, he's been a flop, 100 million flop. And yeah, he was coming back from injury, but that's no excuse to miss all those chances. And so, who else? Eden Hazard, who's been underperforming since he left Chelsea to go to Real Madrid. Thorgan Hazard. there's more that I'm missing. I know there's more that I'm missing. Belgium. It's just really disappointing because, but then again, I shouldn't be surprised because the manager that they had, Roberto Martinez. Why on earth are they hiring that guy? He's overrated. He's not good. He's not elite. Look at his time at Wigan. Got them relegated. Yeah, sure they won the FA Cup, but they still got relegated. And Everton ended up in a failure, ended up in abysmal, and then they go and hire him as coach. Like, come on, man, let's get serious. Honestly, I mean, they're Belgium. Trossard, young player. Carrasco, another elite player. I mentioned Witsel. Castagna, for left back for Leicester. Courtois, elite goalkeeper. Alderweireld, Toby Alderweireld, who used to play for Tottenham, but he's quite old as well, which, you know, validates that statement by KDB, but still you shouldn't say it publicly. And Thomas Munia, the right back, the left back, right back for I think he plays with PSG. Yeah, PSG or Dortmund, one of those teams. Another elite player. This is really disappointing. Really disappointing. It's a joke. Absolute joke. And I think Martin has stepped down. Yeah, he's been sacked or he resigned. Too little too late for me. Too little too late. Because now, this was the best chance for Belgium should have. I'm lost for words because it's like, why pick that manager, Roberto Martinez? It's very shocking, very disappointing, and so it's just a whole mess. It's really a mess. There's not much more I can say really, but that's probably been the one takeaway that I have from this World Cup, where you have all these elite players and you just don't win anything. This is the golden generation 2.0 of failures, underachievers, and he should have done something together, win a trophy together as a team, but he didn't. What more can I say? Yeah, you know, in 20 years' time, we are going to look back at this Belgian team and the players that they produced, and you're going to wonder how did it win any international trophy? How did they didn't win the Euros or no World Cup? You are going to wonder that. We're all going to be wondering that. But that's how it goes. You always have these type of stories in sports. So that's all I have to say. Take care. God bless.